5 minutes.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. Mr. McIntosh, your testimony touches on the outside forces that are driving changes in collegiate sports. As for negative changes, you have identified those to the transfer portal, which allows athletes to now transfer every year and face no ineligibility. Changes such as those are of great concern to me, representing a less populated state with smaller schools in Wyoming, which is a member of the Mountain West Conference, which must compete for recruits and players with the Power 5 conferences and all other Division I schools. How have these changes incentivized or pressured student athletes to use the transfer portal more frequently?
Thank you, Congresswoman. I think it's a great question. I think the combination of third-party NIL and the permissibility of unlimited transfers has put our coaches in a really tough position, and it's caused our student athletes, it's harmed their academic progress. It's created roster instability, which I think is not fair to teammates on those teams. In short, it's put us in an extremely unstable environment. I think this is an area in which we need help. We need help from Congress to be able to create common sense rules that would allow student athletes to transfer for the right reasons, but also preserve their academic progress towards degree.
What are some of the recommendations that you would make in that regard?
I think there have been many discussions and explorations of possibilities, concepts like one transfer permissible in a period of time. Like, these are areas that we would explore. I think there is a need for a student athlete voice in that discussion, and these are the kind of things that we talk to with our student athletes.
Well, one of the things that I see, again, especially coming from a state like Wyoming, where we don't have professional sports. Our only sports are the University of Wyoming. And it's incredibly important to the people of Wyoming that we maintain a competitive basketball team, football team, but we also have wrestling. We have rodeo. And that's something that I don't think people have talked much about, or the impact on rodeo teams of what you're discussing today. But I can see a circumstance where we might recruit somebody. Josh Allen went to the University of Wyoming, one of the greatest football players of all time. And I can see where we would recruit someone to be the cornerstone of a team, only to have that person lured away by another school, which would essentially or could essentially destroy the entire program, at least for that year, if not for a longer period of time. I think that that is a very significant issue that does need to be addressed. And I want to protect the athletes as well. But I think one of the things that we've always done when we look at college athletics is this gives students an opportunity to be part of a team after high school, to be part of a track and field team, to be part of a swim team, to have that experience, while at the same time going to college and getting the degree that is so necessary for their long-term well-being. And Ms. Smith-Gilbert, when we have these kind of transfer situations, what does that do to a student's ultimate academic record and their ability to get the degree so that they have the successes long-term? Because I would assume, I don't know the percentage, but I would assume it's a very small percentage of people who actually go on to make this a career, to become professional athletes. So providing that education, I think, is highly important. What does the ease of transfer do to the ability to provide that academic experience that they need?
In the sport of track and field, that's a really good question, Congresswoman. What I'm finding is unlimited transfers, and you have to understand, in track and field, we may have 4 or 5 windows of the transfer portal per year. Cross country has a window, indoor has a window, outdoor has a window, so it's never stable. So you may have someone running this week at Nationals who may get in the portal on Monday and leave, but they have to go to school and finish classes, but it's in the middle of the semester. So they're looking around in the middle of the season to try to see where they can go, where their credits will transfer, where they'll be accepted to the next school. Or what I'm finding is, as much as I push them to get a master's degree, a lot of times, depending on when they transfer, it's not a viable option because maybe admissions isn't accepting graduate degrees at that time, or you're off track. So they end up taking undergraduate classes all for nothing, just anything, to just be at the new school. And I think that's very detrimental when they could have had a master's degree.
I think it is too. One other issue, and I'm almost out of time, but I think we also need to talk about the regulation associated with agents and their access to students, and make sure that we are protecting the students from what I would consider to be predators almost in the way that they treat our athletes. I don't have time to go into that, but I very much appreciate you being here and addressing this complicated subject. With that, I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. Now recognize Ranking Member Raskin for a unanimous consent request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.